Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. Coming up to an international break, but that doesn't mean we're not covering off last week's games and indeed covering the international games. So stay tuned for that. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Just be real nice to get that podcast out there. So if you want to focus on the sharing of the podcast, that'd be nice. Yes. Anyway, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Well, now that may or may not come through on the delicious recording that gets uploaded to the YouTube, but apparently the recording is indeed in progress. So welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of football-based apprehension and nonsense from us here at the CookieCast Podcast Network. Obviously, I'm not alone, but I'm not with three people, as Mr. Moore's still not with us. But, as I've said before, he will return before the end of the season. You have my word. So, just myself and Mezzers Cook and Woodmansey with us this week. How are we this week, gents?
All right. Can't lose this weekend, can we? So, there's that.
Well, I mean, collectively as fans of football teams, we can't lose. But obviously going into the weekend, some would say that on a much bigger scale, all of us lost. As I hate to be the one to report this, and obviously I'm for those of you listening and watching, unless you're living under a rock, you'll have obviously heard this unfortunate news by this particular point. But the wait, sadly, doesn't continue. After 70 years, ladies and gentlemen, Newcastle United have won a trophy. It's one of those truly harrowing experiences, and one that we all hoped we'd never see. But it's happened. We need to get past it. And I think in the last 5 years, since a certain thing that may have shut down the world, and Liverpool won the Premier League, Leeds were promoted back to the Premier League, and Newcastle won a trophy. So I don't want to put too fine a point, but someone is messing with the wrong juju.
Well, and if you knew that something had gone wrong, because that happened at the weekend, and then the following day, both of our cars broke. So it just, there is a lot of bad shit going around at the moment, and you say you don't want to pinpoint it, but I don't know about you guys. I've not had the greatest week since that happened. Since that second goal went in, you can pretty much just. That's it now. I am blaming it on that. I can pinpoint it to that because it's been shit since it happened.
I don't know. There's things that happen in this world that no one can explain, and obviously Newcastle being successful is one of them. And we now live in a world where, sadly, Middlesbrough are not the last team from the northeast to have won a trophy, and that makes me sad. But we won't dwell on it. We'll move on, and we'll go back through week 29. 3 games. The first of which was Ipswich Town taking on Nottingham Forest. Now, unfortunately, as I was rather busy and unwell over the weekend, obviously, when we did the recording last week, my throat was rather irritated, and I think I sounded a little bit different to how I normally sound. Turns out it was indeed a bout of tonsillitis. Nasty. So I've had the prerequisite course of penicillin and now sound vocally back to my best. What can I say? And back to their best were Nottingham Forest, as they were out 4-2 winners against Ipswich Town. As I said, I was poorly sick and unable to actually watch the highlights of this particular game, so I can't comment on any of the goals. All I can say is that Milinkovic opened the scoring for Forest in the 35th minute and bagged me 6 delicious points for my fantasy team. Very nice. He was involved in another one of the goals, I believe the second goal, on the 37th, when Ilanga made it 2-0. I believe it was Milinkovic that actually provided the assist for that goal. Forest weren't done there, though, before half-time. They made it 3-0 on the 41st minute with Elanga's second strike of the game. So yes, Forest cruising at the break, 3-0. Ipswich tried to make a bit of a go of it in the second half. Managed to get a goal back on the 82nd minute with Cayuste scoring his first goal for Ipswich. Before Forest went down the other end to make it 4-1 with Jota Silva, or slightly better Jack Grealish, as he's known in the business, making it 4-1 on 87 minutes. And then just to, I was going to say put a little bit of icing on the cake, but it's not, is it? It's taking a layer off the cake because they conceded. So to take the cherry off the icing that was on the cake, George Hurst popped up in the 93rd minute with a second goal for Ipswich to make it 2-4. Quite the game, by the sound of it. I'm sure that Mr. Moore was delighted after sift through all of those goals on Match of the Day and do all in his power to avoid any form of, speech or gloating from one Alan Shearer, who I'm sure at this point hasn't shut up on any of his BBC-based broadcasts. But again, we won't go into it. So, 4-2, Nottingham Forest win. Firmly cementing their place in the top 4 in what's increasingly looking more likely that a top 5 finish will be enough for Champions League football next season. You'll be happy to know, lads, it points all round. Everyone had a Nottingham Forest win. Stuart had a 1-0 with Wood, just the 1 point for the correct result. Andy had 2-0. He also had Wood and Gibbs White as his goal scorers. So even though there were 6 goal scorers, no goal scorers predicted correctly there. I too had 2-0. I too had Gibbs White. I had Anderson. So 5 goal scorers picked between us, and not one of them was correct. So just 1 point each for myself, Stu, and Andy with our Nottingham Forest win prediction. So we're all off the mark in the first game, 1-0. Second game saw my lot, Middlesbrough, travel to Kenilworth Road to take on relegation-threatened Luton Town. And I know what you're thinking. It's Middlesbrough challenging for the playoffs. Comfortable victory against the team battling against relegation. You have clearly not seen Middlesbrough play, my friend. You do not know how this script goes. So, of course, let me just get the stats for you. Luton struggling, Middlesbrough towards the top end of the division. The old chestnut Borough should be on top in this one. Stats: total shots for the game: Middlesbrough 7, Luton at 19. So more than double the shots. Shots on target: 5 for Luton. 0 Middlesbrough. Sorry. So someone said no. I'll just carry on. Goalkeeping: saves for Luton: 0. Ooh, probably comes with not having a shot on target. Saves: 5 for Middlesbrough. So yes, quite clearly comfortable to say that in this one, Middlesbrough's man of the match was indeed Mark Travers. This one just looked like it was an all-out onslaught on the Borough goal at times. Luton comfortably the better of the two sides. All of the attacking football was going through their players. most of the efforts that Travers saved were hot shots from like sort of outside the box, or efforts that came from within the box from Borough errors. One case was Aidan Morris looked to play the ball back, completely missed the fact that Elijah Adebayo was clearly in the middle of the box. Played the ball to him perfectly, but his little snapshot was smartly saved by Travers to keep it at 0. The best chance was actually missed by one of their January transfer window recruit, Thilo Asgard, managed to spoon the ball over from about 4 yards out when he was at the back stick. Not unmarked, but it was certainly one of those ones that it looked like it was easier to score. But yeah, no shots on target from Borough tells you that they certainly didn't score. And the fact that of their 5 shots on target, Middlesbrough had 5 saves indicates that Luton also were unable to score, and this one petered out to a 0-0 draw. Disappointing, but not unexpected, I would say. Middlesbrough do not ever seem to do well at Kenilworth Road. Probably something to do with the fact that it's a ground that's stuck in the 1940s. Showers from the 1840s. Just horrible. They can't move into that new ground quicker. A lot of people say it's a nice ground to go to and stuff like that. It clearly is not a nice ground to go to, let's be honest. When you have to go into the stand past someone's house, where you physically have to climb up the stairs and look into someone's kitchen, not really a conducive element to somewhere United. It's good to play football. So, predictions-wise, Andy gone for a 2-0 Middlesbrough win. He didn't read the script clearly. No points for Mr. Cook. Stuart gone for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. He clearly didn't read the script. No points for Stuart Woodmansey. I did read the script, but not very well, because I went for goals. I went for a 2-2 draw. So I do get the point for the draw. Obviously, no goal scorers, no bonus points. So just the point for me, Stu and Andy, 0 points from that game. And our third and final game of the week saw West Bromwich Albion take on Hull City. This one known as the Brinton Woodmansey Derby, as it were. And I believe it was the Brinton side of my family that would have been the happier when this one started.
Oh, yeah. Safe to say I wasn't expecting anything here. So to say that West Brom dominated possession and the first half wasn't really a huge shock. What is more shocking is that Hull had 4 shots on target in the entire game to West Brom's 3 by the time that it finished. This was probably what I would call a typical struggling away team game plan from Hull. Disrupt and play not to lose, basically. And it kind of worked in the first half. West Brom, like I said, had a lot of the ball, but seemed to have a real reluctance to have a shot. They were restricted to long-range shots combined with, on their part, what was a complete lack of accuracy. And it meant that the sides went in at the break 0-0. Second half, however, a little bit different. The game went very, very end-to-end. But as the first half, West Brom started the better. They hit the bar early on. Then Crooks headed over from a Hughes cross. Joseph missed a chance from a lovely Burstow pass before Price put the hosts in front by volleying in a cleared corner beyond Pandor, who had no chance. He was just stranded on 67 minutes. I clearly had read the script up until this point, because at this point, my prediction was bang on, and it tells you that I predicted a right back to score. I knew that something was going to be adrift. Anyway, the reason why I picked him was because that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It was his first goal in English football, so there is that. However, in more positive news, that lead only lasted 12 minutes. Ruben Sayers decided that he'd go with his now seemingly tried and trusted method of substituting the fuck out of the second half, I think is the official term, by bringing on quite a lot of people all at once. And 7 minutes after entering the field of play, Kamara, one of the people on the receiving end of a pass from one of the substitutes, he bundled home. It was a headed cross from Casey Palmer to make it 1-1. Not the nicest goal you'll ever see. Still counts as an absolute worldie though, in just the same. So, West Brom's keeper Wildsmith then saw his busiest period of the game after that, denying Gelhardt and Lincoln with a great double save down to his right hand side both times. And then he foiled Kamara with a one-on-one effort to keep the score level. This has happened before in games. If Kamara is a long way from goal and has a shot, fine. If he is on pretty much the goal line and bundles one in, fine. If he is one-on-one with a goalkeeper, absolute shit. It's like he waits until the keeper just comes to his feet, and instead of actually having a go, he's just like, he might as well just like pass it back to the keeper. But yeah, nonetheless, it was 1-1, which makes it now Hull are now unbeaten in 4 for a team that were struggling and almost stranded at one point, and 2 of those 4 were home wins. We'll absolutely take that going into the international break. Just a couple of notes from stuff of late. Kyle Joseph, who we got from Blackpool in the January transfer window, I understand it's a step up from Blackpool. I'm starting to feel like it's a step too far for the kid at the moment because he's getting game time and he's not been good. He gives the ball away a lot in the areas that you don't want him to be giving the ball away, which is then setting up counter-attacks. But it's just not quite working for me. And I feel like that he's only kind of in there because we're either screwed from suspensions or injuries. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully, I mean, obviously you guys know the reason why I'm mentioning this because it is entirely Mateta theory. Because now I've talked about how crappy he is. He'll score a goal in every game from now till the end of the season.
Yes.
And the other thing, what I was going to mention was that the post-match interview with Ruben Sayers, he's now come out publicly and said that the team that he's put together are starting to look solid. So when we remember this, because then when we come back to actual football after the international break, if you all want to pick 3-0 to whoever we're playing at that time, you've got
it. Obviously it's not the same as the manager getting given Manager of the Month award, which is obviously the most cursed award in all of football. But it's one of those things in it where you just know there's certain things you don't want your manager to come out and say, and that's kind of one of them. Yeah, just don't put yourself under any undue pressure by saying something as stupid as that.
Just say it was a good performance and move on.
Yeah. To be honest, let's be honest. A point away from home against a top 6 contender, it's a very good point.
Absolutely. And there was points, I mean, really, West Brom hadn't blown us away in that first half. And then the way that City then particularly finished the second, West Brom were hanging on at points towards the end of that game. It could have very easily been another away win.
Yes. So, predictions-wise, Andy was the most optimistic and had gone for a 3-0 Hull win with Crooks for 2 and Gelhardt to score. So sadly, Andy gets no points in that game. As he's already alluded to in his rundown of the game, Stuart gone for a 1-0 home win with Price to score. So at a time, he was on for all sorts of points. But sadly, he does have to settle for just the one with the Price goal. I, however, predicted a draw in this one. I went for another 2-2. Sadly, no goal scorers for me. I had Armstrong, Diangana, Gelhardt, and Brooks. So I just settled for the 1 point for my draw prediction, which means Andy ends the week with 1 point from his 3 games. Stu, 2 points from the 3 games. I get 3 points, a point piece from each of the games to win the week, as it were. So, week 29 is done and dusted. That is our domestic football over and done with for the week. So we'll close that particular chapter and we'll open the chapter that starts with England's first German leading the national team and his two games against Albania and Latvia, respectively, in World Cup qualification. But before we get to talking about that, we are going to take a very, very quick break. So you don't need to do anything because it will just reappear in your feed. But we will step out for just a few moments. We'll be right back. Recording in progress. Yawn was definitely in progress, unfortunately for me. And it's all right. It wasn't caught on something that'll be record for the rest of time. So I got away with it. So it's fine. So, week 30 of this particular predictions season sees, as mentioned before, the first of two England World Cup qualifiers. And as stated before, it is Thomas Tuchel's first England games in charge. Obviously, he selected his squad towards the end of last week. And I believe there was widespread joy and happiness that Jordan Henderson had been welcomed back into the fold with his great I want to spread football around the world notions. That's why he only lasted about 4 months in Saudi Arabia, didn't play, and didn't get paid. Oh, so he took his tail between his legs and ran back to the Netherlands, where he could sign for a team that was towards the top of the table. Yeah, I don't really understand that one, Jordan. And yeah, it's a no from me in being brought back into the fold of the England team. Many of you watching on the YouTube will have noticed the shake of the head from Mr. Woodmansey there. I would imagine he's firmly in the camp alongside myself. Mainly for me, it's the fact that by the time the actual tournament that this particular qualifier is for rolls around, aka in 18 months' time or so, he will be even older than he is now and even less relevant to the squad.
I thought we were all safe. I thought we were all in agreement. He'd taken his career to Saudi Arabia to just die quietly in a corner, and get paid a fuckload of money for it. And then he just has the downright, I don't know, disdain for everybody that likes to watch football to then try and go back to a team and revive his career. So he obviously realised he'd made a mistake. But I genuinely thought we were through the days of. For me, his style of play in midfield for England reminds me of the days of where you can't play Gerrard and Lampard together because one of them will be shit, except for that's just him in one box.
No upside, just all shit.
Even when he was playing, and I use this term loosely, well in this country, and he was getting picked for England, I genuinely think I've never seen a footballer get to the level that he's played at and steal a living as fucking blatantly as he has.
I think it was talked to me when he was described as the most underwhelming captain to lift both the Premier League and Champions League trophy.
Yeah, but at least nobody was there to see the Premier League one.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yes, so some questionable decisions in his initial squad, shall we say. One of those was rectified when Cole Palmer withdrew from the squad. I believe because he's shitting his pants that he can't score anymore. And his replacement was Morgan Gibbs-White, who was erroneously missed from the squad in the first place. Although, I think the biggest surprise is that Ollie Watkins is in the squad.
Yeah, I was looking for him and I thought, This feels a bit odd.
But it's all right, though, because at least Kyle Walker's there to solidify the right-back spot. You know, even though he also will be into his late 30s, significant.
I thought for a minute you were going to say it's all right. Kyle Walker's there to keep all the wives and girlfriends entertained.
No, move on, move on quickly. So, the first of the two qualifiers, which have both been played at Wembley, sees England versus Albania. I've said they're both at Wembley. Is that even right? Are they both at Wembley? Have I just erroneously said that?
I think so.
I was going to say, because I know there are games that are scheduled to be played around the country, but I don't think it's these two. I don't think it's one of these two. So his first test will come against Albania. Now, I should probably be a little bit more prepared and have like a list of the games that England have played against Albania, the previous record, all of that sort of stuff. But I don't. So I will just go off the fact that in the recently completed Nations League, England were in Group B2, won 5 of their 6 games, lost 1 against Greece, and finished top. As a contrast, Albania, who competed in Group B1, won 2 of their 6 games, drew 1 of their 6 games, lost 3 of their 6 games, and finished bottom of Group B1. Their group consisted of the Czech Republic, Ukraine, and Georgia. England's group consisted of Greece, Republic of Ireland, and Finland. I will start us off with the predictions. Obviously, it's all of our nation, so we don't really have a first and a last. So I've gone for England to win this one 2-0, with the goals for Rashford and Kane. I think Rashford will probably start alongside Kane in one of the wide attacking bursts. It'll be interesting to see what formation he goes with, as a lot of people think he'll potentially not play 3 at the back, which is his preferred system, mainly because the players that he's picked don't play that system. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think that Rashford will probably be given the nod as one of the wide forwards, supporting Kane to them. That's why I've gone 2-0 Rashford and Kane. Stu, what have you gone for?
I've gone one more than that. I've gone 3-0. We're in this tranche of qualifying again, and therefore it means that England get to play relatively lesser nations, and therefore Captain Stat Padder will be out in full force. So stick Kane down for 1, and then I've got Bellingham and Gordon for the other 2.
Bellingham and Gordon. Mr. Cook?
I've got 2-0. Kane, obviously. And seeing as he managed to get himself into the team, I was like, well, let's give him a go. So, Gibbs White.
I like that. However, don't think he'll see minutes. I could be wrong. And he could be one of the later subs. I think if he does get on, I think it'll be one of those ones where substitute about 85 minutes once the game's kind of already done up.
Andy's put the call in already. He's rang the Albanian FA and said, "Can you see that fella Jordan Henderson's name on the sheet again? Go through him. Minute 1. The money's yours. Get Gibbs White on. I need the points."
That wire transfer is winging its way to you. Do us all a favour.
To be fair, Andy, we'd all chip in if that was the case.
So, England-Albania in the books. The second game, arguably the easier of the two, if you want to look at it that way, sees England taking on Latvia. So obviously, Albania, the previous contestant, were in Group B of the Nations League. To put it in perspective, Latvia found themselves in Group C, Pot 4. Their teams that they were facing were North Macedonia, Armenia, and the Faroe Islands, and they still managed to finish bottom, having won 1, drawn 1, and lost 4, which, if I'm not mistaken, means that they will be relegated to the bottom division of the Nations League for the upcoming round. So they will find themselves in Group D alongside the likes of San Marino, Gibraltar, Liechtenstein, Moldova, Malta, and Andorra. So very much the minnows of the European football scene. I'll save my prediction for now and see if anyone else has gone with a similar number of goals. Let's go straight back to Andy and see what Andy's put down for England versus Latvia.
I got 3-0.
Okay.
Normally, I try and stay away from predicting this person in both games because I imagine they'll only play one. But I've got Kane to score 2 of those 3 and Rashford to get the other.
Now, normally, you would be correct in thinking that. But because it's a qualifier, and he won't want to take anything to chance, I'll be amazed if Kane doesn't start both games. Which is weird because I haven't picked him in my prediction for this one. But I've gone for a 5-0 thumping. And what's more, I've gone for 5 different goal scorers.
Oh, you're just spreading the ball. You're just playing for points here.
See if I can get some points on the ball. So I've gone for a goal apiece for Gordon, Eze, Bellingham, Bowen, and Rodgers. Whether all 5 of them are even still in the squad come the Latvia game is another thing.
I think what we've established is next time it comes around to the international games, Paul's going to pick 15-0, and it will be the starting the 10 outfield players and 5 subs.
Go on then, Stu. I'll give you the honours of giving us the last prediction of the week. How do you see it going against Latvia?
Well, for the reasons you mentioned at the beginning, I've also increased, but I've actually gone in the middle. So I've gone for 4-0. So we've got a 3, a 4, and a 5. But I've got Rashford, Rodgers, and a double for Kane because, I agree with what you said as well. Because it's a qualifier, Kane is absolutely starting, and he will only leave the field of play once they are at least 2 to the good. So
I think the thing that everyone's going to forget as well is the fact that whilst he was the manager at Bayern Munich last year, Harry Kane was obviously his go-to guy.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that's in the squad that he's going to have the most, other than the Chelsea players that are in there that he'd worked with before, he's the guy who's going to have like the most of like his ear, if that makes sense, or he's going to be the guy that you can sort of go to the most and then pass the message on to the rest of the players. I know he's the captain as well, so that would make sense. But I think
in terms of picking him as a goal scorer, though, we're also playing 2 teams who you would expect to be beaten, who aren't going to be playing the prettiest football, and he is also the designated penalty taker. So why would do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I'll see if I can find the remainder of the qualifying group. So England's group for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers. So obviously Albania and Latvia are the first 2 opponents. Serbia would probably be looked at as the challenging team in the group. And then the whipping boys are more than likely going to be Andorra. So only the group winner is guaranteed to go through to the World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada. The team finishing in second goes into the playoff system. So you'd imagine that he's going to want to start strong with 2 wins to sort of put the statement out there that, he's got the England team ready, raring to go, and whatnot. So we'll see. I think he probably couldn't have asked for an easier sort of fixture to start. Well, obviously it could have been Andorra as the first game to start off his tenure. I think he needs a big win, otherwise the old standard media clause will be out, and I give it about 8 seconds before it's something is mentioned in the press about his country of birth, shall we say? As let's be honest, it will be the stick that's used to beat him at some point during his tenure. So it's just a case of how long it takes for it to come out.
I'm just waiting for, and I'm not going to repeat them for obvious reasons. I'm just waiting for some of the older fan base to start singing certain songs that might be heard at an England game.
Yes.
Because that's going to happen as well, clearly, because they won't think about it.
One thing that I did think was the most ridiculous was that he was obviously asked the question, "Are you going to sing the national anthem?" It was like, "Should he?" And it was like, "Do I care?" I mean, some of the players don't even sing it,
No.
and no one's there like sort of like having a go at them and stuff like that. Oh no, that's a lie. Actually, there obviously will be people that would have a go at them. We're at a point now where what does it matter? It's just nonsense. And yeah, the fact that he might not sing the national anthem doesn't affect his ability to manage the team. So it shouldn't even be up for it as a discussion piece. But yeah, we'll see. But I think they'll get the 6 points regardless. But it might just be a case of it's, you might see in the first game, if they haven't got at least one by half time, the knives will be getting sharpened, shall we say?
I mean, the two teams that they're playing, though, I mean, if they're not up at half time, just bring every attacking substitute on in one go that you've got, because in theory, particularly like that second game, it should be men v boys, really, shouldn't it?
Obviously the Latvia game is the easier of the two. You'd probably say on paper. I know, like Albania, right? Exactly. They're no mugs. They've been at the last 2 European Championship tournaments. They've qualified for the actual main finals, so they're clearly a decent team, but they're not one of the European elites. So shouldn't really cause England too many problems. But yeah, football's football. It's just the age old adage. It's a strange game. You never know what can happen and stuff like that. So we'll keep our eyes peeled and see we'll see what will be, and we'll no doubt discuss it on next week's pod.
My favourite part, just to tie it back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, and then with the England thing. Just to tie up, my favourite thing that I've seen in the build-up to the England game so far is the press going absolutely nuts over being able to interview Newcastle's own from Blythe, Dan Burn, after receiving his first England call-up at the grand old age of 32. And when he was talking about England's recent exploits in certain tournaments, he said something to the effect of, "Well, we've got a lot to live up to because we've played in a lot of finals recently. Not a lot of finals, unless, you can't count to two. But I just thought that was weird. Like, it was such a weird, like, it's a completely different manager. The team is obviously slightly different, but I just didn't understand we've played in a lot of finals recently, because it's not a lot of finals, and he hasn't played in any of them.
It's just, I don't know. It's just your usual sort of stock answer from footballer X, who hasn't really got the greatest of sort of oratory skills, shall we say? But yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The week's games predicted. Like I say, it's always a bit of a slow week whenever it's international football. Kind of slows it down. Not as much to look forward to. The games aren't even on the weekend. These are Friday and Monday evening fixtures. So we'll leave everyone's weekend fully available to be ruined by, I don't know, soft play or trips to some sort of shop or cinema or something like that. There'll be something there that'll take the place of football that can, ruin an afternoon, which is always what we want to see. So I'm sure it will all be fine. But as per usual, thank you, the two gentlemen you see on your screen alongside me, for going through the details of our football team, collectively, the nation. If you're new around here, or if this is your first time stumbling across the podcast, obviously welcome on in. The water's lovely. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening. But if it is your first time, maybe throw the channel a subscribe if you liked what you heard. It's not just us here at the football side of things. We also do a Formula One podcast with the Straight to the Apex guys. The start of the Formula One season was last weekend, with proceedings getting underway in Australia. I'm sure it was an incredible result that that guy, who I think won everything last year, didn't actually win. So surprising. All I can say. But yes, but if F1 is your thing, get yourself over there, listen to that podcast. Very, very interesting. Myself, Mr. Cook, and Mr. Woodmansey are also involved in the wrestling podcast that we bring to you once a month on the network. The next one up, it's the biggie, ladies and gentlemen. It's the WrestleMania preview show that'll be due within the next couple of weeks, where we'll look forward to all the matches that'll be on the card for WrestleMania weekend in Las Vegas. That one will definitely not be one to be missed. And of course, Mr. Cook, he himself has his Darkest Timeline podcast, where he goes through week by week the thoughts and feelings going on inside his head, what games he's played that week, what movies he's seen that week, what drinks he's had that week, how many energy drinks may or may not be lined up on his computer screen. It's all a mystery. It's all a mystery, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get over there, get that listened to. Like I said, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Let us know what you'd like to see more of on the channel. And then, of course, we will be back next week to go through those two England games, and then, of course, give our predictions for the upcoming Middlesbrough, Nottingham Forest, and Hull fixtures that will follow the week after. Until then, however, thank you very much for listening. Take care of yourselves. Keep an eye out for everybody else. And we will be right back in a week's time. Tatty bye for now.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one done. Another one gone. Another set of games gone. Another set of games to look forward to. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website I've just renewed the website, so it'd be nice if I wasn't paying for it for nothing. So do check it out. There we've got social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.